we have here, okay, so what's my first step? So I'm going to minus 4x from both sides. And I have a negative 3y is equal to a negative 36 minus my 4x. And then what do I got to do? Divide everything by negative 3. Because this is a negative 3 in front. So I'm dividing this by negative 3. I get y is equal to negative 36 divided by negative 3 is 12. And then a negative and negative is a positive 4/3 x. Now technically I should rewrite this to y is equal to 4/3 x plus 12 so that we can see it. So so my y-intercept is 12 and my slope is 4/3. Class, parallel slopes have the same slope. So we know that parallel slopes are the same and perpendicular are just flip the fraction, change the sign. All right. So slope 4/3 because it's the same, and then perpendicular would be so 3/4, changing the fraction and or flipping the fraction and change that sign. So it's a negative 3/4. Questions on the first one? All right. Is negative 2. What is the slope of the line? Negative 4/7. Very good. Parallel slope would also be negative 4/7 because it's the same, and then the perpendicular would be 7/4 because you flip the fraction and change the sign. So it was a negative and now it's a positive. So you flip that fraction and change the sign. We want a parallel to this line, and it's going to pass through the point 7, -6. What is the slope of the parallel line to this? 5/3. So it's the parallel slope is just 5/3. We just need the number. A slope will always be just a number. So now we have our slope and we have a point. What are we going to use? What formula are we going to use? So we have a slope and a point. We have a slope and a point. We're going to use the point slope formula. My point slope formula is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So what do I put on my left-hand side? Y. Yep.
Oh, y plus 6.
Y plus 6 equals
5/3.
5/3 parenthesis x
X minus 7.
minus 7. Very good. This step. I distribute. And how do I distribute 5/3 to a -7? Yeah, so 5 divided by 3 times a -7. So on my left-hand side, I have y plus 6 is equal to 5/3 x. And what is 5 divided by 3 times a -7?
-11.66 eating.
So -11.7. And my last step. Yep, so I'm going to take away 6. -11 minus 6 is a -17.7. Because this is negative, and then you're having, so that's our final answer. Find the equation of the, for the given slope in y-intercept form. So we're going to find the equation of this line. All right. So to be able to find an equation of a line, you either need 2 points or you need the slope and the y-intercept. And we can clearly see the slope and the y-intercept. So what is the slope of this line? How do I find the slope of that line? So I go to a point, and how do I find the slope? I have to rise over run, so I count. So I'm going down 1, 2, 3, 4. So I am going down 4 and I run 2. So that's my slope. So my slope is -1/2, because you have to oops, it's not 1/2, it's 2. Oop, I just messed up. We have -2. Now I want to find my B. My B is my y-intercept. Where does this cross what point right there? What point is that right there? It's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 is right. So it's 4. So my equation is y equals my -2 x plus 4. Why? All right. Now, Mikey, it says to write a perpendicular. First of all, how do I find the slope of my perpendicular? So my regular slope was -2, so it says to flip the fraction. So if I flip 2, it's 1/2. And then change the sign from a negative to a positive. All right, so that's my perpendicular. And now I have to know what this point is. What is this point right there?
A point.
So it's -2, right? 1, 2, and down 1, 2, 3. So -3. Do you agree that it's -2, -3?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now, you're putting it into this equation. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So, on this side I have y. What am I putting on my left-hand side? This is my x, this is my y. So it's, and so I have a minus, and a minus is a positive. So plus 3 is equal to, what's my slope?
Yeah, what they said. -2, +2.
1/2 times x minus a -2. So it's,
Let me do it myself.
yeah, let me think.
Jeez, Jocelyn.
All right, now,
Set me up for failure.
now you have to distribute. So on the left side I have y plus 3 is equal to, what's on the right side?
Oh, or in your parentheses?
1/2 times x is
When,
1/2 x. And what's 1/2 times 2?
oh, 1.
And my last step. What's the last step? Is to get y by itself.
Solve it.
What do I have to do? How can I get rid of this 3?
-3.
-3. So I'm going to -3 both sides. I'm going to get y is equal to 1/2 x. 1 minus 3 is
2.
-2.
Oh, yeah, -3.
Graph this line. The easiest way to graph it is you have a point and you have your slope. Let's do it with that. So I have to rise 1 and run 2. Rise 1 and run 2. Rise 1 and run 2. So this is my and it should form a 90-degree angle. If yours does not form a 90-degree angle, you didn't do it right. Write an equation for the line through the point -7, -2 with a slope of 0. So the first thing I want to do is I want you to show me with your arms, what is the slope of 0 look like? Slope of 0 is right. It's a flat line. So if I had my x and y axes, I go negative 7 and 2 is somewhere around there. I have to draw a flat line. So it's hitting my y-intercept right there. And what point is my y value? Negative 2. So your equation is y equals negative 2. What you have to do is you have to see what axis is it hitting, and it's hitting the y-axis, so it's y equals. If it hits the x-axis, it's x equals. Yes. What is this y value? First of all, see how this was negative 7, negative 2? What is this y value right here? This y value is negative 2. Do you see that? If this was positive 2, it would be up top, but this is on the negative side. So that value right there is negative 2. You find out where it hits the axes. Is it my x-axis or y-axis? And then you want to go and say, okay, this is my y-axis, and it's at negative 2. So it's y equals negative 2. That's how I would do it. If I'm going through this point, the only way I can have a slope of 0 is if it's a flat line. Do you agree with that? Okay. So I'm drawing a straight line this way. Now, all of these points, what is the same? If I were to write all these points down, my y value is the same. My y value is negative 2. My x's are different, but my y value is negative 2. So the only way that you can have a flat line or a straight up and down line is if you only have one variable. So y equals, and what does y equal at all of these points? No, what is this point right here, John? 1, negative 2. What's this point down here? This one is 1, 2, 3, so negative 3, negative 2. So they're all, the y values are always negative 2. So that's the equation of the line. You're going to have a lot of different x values, but all of these y values are negative 2. It says that we have an equation, or they want to write an equation that passes through the point 9, negative 1. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, negative 1. Now it says undefined. What does your undefined look like? Going up, up and down. So what has, on this one, what axes did it pass through? Does it have a y-intercept or an x-intercept? It has a x-intercept. So that means that this value right there is x equals, and your x value is 9. That's your equation. If you think about it, what all of these have in common is that x equals 9. X is 9, 9, 1, 9, 2, 9, 9, 9 is way up here. It's all of these, your x value is always your 9. It says, are these two lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? And then how do we know? So what's the first thing I have to do to be able to figure out if they're parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Yeah, I have to solve for my y is right. So on this one, I have negative 3y. I'm going to take this to the other side. So I have negative 2x plus 14. Divide by a negative 3. I get y is equal to negative, and negative is positive 2/3 x plus 14 over 3 negative. And that, I don't know what it is, but all right. On the other one, I'm going to solve again. I solve this one. So this one, I have negative 4y is equal to, taking this to the other side, negative 2x plus 14. And my last, I have to divide by a negative 4. I sure can. You're welcome. Yep. I can even make it bigger. So I'm going to divide by a negative 4. So negative 2, and now we have a negative 4. Negative, negative, make a positive. 2/4 reduced to 1/2. So the slope of this one is 1/2. And the slope of this one is 2/3. So, is this parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Neither. And it's neither because it's neither, and we have to be able to explain it, it's neither because it's not the same slope, and it's not same, and it's not the opposite and flipped. Right? Because same is your parallel, perpendicular is opposite and flipped. So since it's not same and it's not opposite and flipped, it's neither. You have to be able to write this in words. So make sure that you wrote that down. Alright, so x and y intercepts. To find your x and y intercept, you are going to plug in a 0 for the opposite. So when you want to find your x-intercept, you will plug in a 0 for your y. Also, I want you to know is you guys have to write this down when you are when you're taking your test. There's that you have to describe how to graph, and that's what this is saying. So how do you graph? And I'm going to actually write B first because I write it as I go. So the first thing you want to do is you want to plug a 0 in for y and solve for x. You plug a 0 in for y and solve for x. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm plugging a 0 in for y and solving for x. So I have negative 9x minus 3 times 0 equals 18. That's 0, so I have negative 9 x equals 18. What does x equal? Negative 9 times what gives me 18? Negative 2. So my slope, my x-intercept is x is equal to a negative 2. Or you could write it as the fact of negative 2 comma 0. Now, if you think about this, this might help you with your other equations. X equals negative 2, that's on your x-axis, and it's negative 2. So we're going to go here, and I can't graph it yet, so I'll graph it in a sec. My y-intercept, I plug a 0 in for what? For my, if I'm finding my y-intercept, I plug it in for my x value and solve for y. So now I have here, I go plugging in my 0. So I have negative 9 times 0 minus 3y is equal to 18. Plug a 0 in for that. It's how you can find any points. Like you could find out what y is when x is 1. You can plug in anything. So now I have negative 3y is equal to 18. Divide by negative 3 if you need to, and you get y is negative 6. So my y-intercept is 0, negative 6, or if you want y equals negative 6. It doesn't matter to me. Alright, so we need to plot these points. Negative 2 zeros here. Oh, and then plot points. And connect. Negative negative 2 is there, and my negative 6. Rewriting it in slope-intercept form, we've done it many a times. You are taking your negative 9x minus 3y is equal to 18, and you have to solve for y. So I have negative 3y is equal to 9x plus 18, taking that to the other side. Divide by negative 3, I get y is equal to 9 divided by negative 3 is negative 3x. 18 divided by negative 3 is a negative 6. Number 9, it says that you buy shirts for $20 and $50 for jeans. You want to spend exactly $200. So now it says to write an equation in standard form. If you do not remember what standard form is, look at the front of your test, and your test says standard form is ax plus by equals c. So hopefully that helps you to remember that. If you buy a shirt for $20, you would multiply $20 times the number of shirts you buy. So your number of shirts. Then you would pay $50 for every jean you buy, and your total, you want it to be $200 exactly. All right. Next chapter we're going to talk about less and things like that, but right now we're just saying 200 exactly. Is this continuous or discrete? Discrete, because we can't buy can't have a half a shirt or jeans. So then it says to graph this. The easiest way to graph it is to find your x and y intercepts. So if I were to cover my s's up and find my j, how many jeans can I buy for $200? 4. So my jeans are going to be your 4. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 is my jeans. And if I don't buy any jeans, how many shirts can I buy? If it's $20 each, 10. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It is discrete, so the only way we can do this is to put dots and see if any other combination works. And 5 should be 2. And if you look at it, that's the only one right there that hits that. All of them else are off of it. So it only has 3 combinations that work. Yes? Oh, this side? This is, what do you remember what going up is? Number of jeans. Yep, because if you put your line here, if you put your straight edge, the only other one that works is this one right there. A dotted. And then put dotted straight down. Yeah, it's fine. You can either do that or you can do dotted. Yep, that's fine. All right. We have here on 10, you are going to find, you have a chart so you can do 2 points. you have 4 comma 15 and 5 comma 17. Then you're going to use your equation of your line. You find your slope and you use this formula. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And I will tell you the answer. Actually, I'm going to tell you the answers to these. I will do this one in a sec. And then I'm going to try to get through all of them. So once you found the slope of your line, you throw it into the equation and simplify it. So your equation of the line is y equals 2x plus 7. On your multiple choice, 2 things you can do. If you have a point, throw in your x value and see if that's your y, because that will help you, or use your equations that you're given. That's what you're expected to do on these ones, and I will do a couple of them because I will have a few minutes, but I do want you to have all the answers so you guys can write them down, and we'll write the work. So I'll give you a second to... Alright, now that we have 2 points, how do I find my slope? I subtract my y's over subtracting of my x's. So 15 minus 17 is negative 2. 4 minus 5 is negative 1. So my slope is 2. Then I have to insert it into this equation. So I have, and it doesn't matter which one you use, so I have y minus 15 is equal to my slope of 2 times x minus 4. Now, what do you do to clean this up? Distribute. So I'm going to distribute that 2. So I have y minus 15 is equal to 2x minus 8. Then I add 15 to both sides. So I have y equals 2x plus 7. Where your y is your height, and your t is your time, because this is x and this is my y. So now it says use your equation to predict how high it will be after 48 months. So what's my y at 48? So I put in a 48 here. So I go 2 times 48 in your calculator. 2 times 48 plus 7. So we get 96 plus 7 is 103 centimeters. All right. Now on multiple choice, if you had a multiple choice test, don't just look and see which one matches up. Do the problem and see if you can find it, if you can find that answer. All right, so the first one, it says so we're writing them in slope intercept, so we're trying to get all of them to be y equals mx plus b. So we have our slope and we have our point, so we're going to use the point slope formula. So we have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. What can I insert? So my slope is negative 1/4, and my y is 3, so it's negative 3, and my x is 8, so it's negative 8. How do I put it into my y-intercept form? I distribute. So y minus 3 is equal to a negative 1/4 x. Negative and negative is a positive. In your calculator, go negative 1 divided by 4 times a negative 8. Should give you a 2. Then how do I get rid of that? I add 3. So I have y is equal to a negative 1/4 x plus 5. So now I'm looking for this here. So it's C. So number 11 is C. Number 12, you're given 2 points and you have to put those into it. So you have the first thing, if you have 2 points, what do you have to find first? Your slope. So you're going to go and say negative 8 minus a negative 7. So a negative and a negative make a positive. And then you have 4 minus 0. Negative 8 plus 7 is negative 1 over 4. Now we have our slope. That's our m. We have 2 points in our slope. We can use the point slope again. So I take y minus, and we can do it right away. So I have, I can use either one of them. I personally would have chose this one, but since we always go first, I'll do this one. I would have used this one though. But y minus a negative 8, so it's positive 8, is equal to my slope of negative 1/4 x minus 4. Distribute, I have y plus 8 is equal to a negative 1/4 x. Negative and negative is a positive, and then we have a 1. Oh, gotta subtract my 7. So I have y equals negative 1/4, subtract 8. I'd still have a 1 over there. Thinking of the answer, minus 7. So I have a negative, looking for a negative 1/4 x minus 7. So it's A. Alright, number 13. So I have y plus 3 is equal to a negative 5 times x plus 2. How do I get this into my y equals? I have to first distribute this. So I have y plus 3 is equal to a negative 5x. Negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. Then I subtract 3. Y is equal to negative 5x minus 13. So the answer is D. We're given our slope and our intercept. Well, we know the equation y equals mx plus b. So we put in our 8 here and our 12 here. That means it's E. And our last one, we can subtract 3x from both sides. So I have 4y is equal to negative 3x plus 24. Divide by 4. So on right here we have y equals negative 3/4, and 24 divided by 4 is 6. So we have B. Alright, I do recommend, I highly recommend you going through and taking a blank one of these. I will put it up on my website so you can download it, and I really highly recommend taking a blank one and try to do it without looking at anything. It's the process that you need. Alright, good luck, and your test is tomorrow.